The Sim Racer's Performance Guide, your guide to race setup, strategy, driver performance. Dive in deep, learn about suspension, aero, braking, drivetrain, with a 77-page manual packed full of hours of video tutorials as well. Learn how to fully engineer your setup and get more from your sim. Written and tested by real-world racing drivers, proven in Formula Sim Racing and VEC. Understand and optimize it all with the Sim Racer's Performance Guide. Quote FSR for a 20% discount off the normal €10 price.
Hello, I'm Jack Nichols and welcome to
He's going to break his 6th world title.
Look at these two go.
Eoin is going to do it, his first victory.
The World Championship is done. What a race it's been.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to Formula Sim Racing and its World Championship. It's the penultimate round of the season here at Suzuka, Japan. I'm Eoin Harmon, and I'm delighted, as always, to be joined by David O'Reilly. David, how are you keeping?
Yeah, very well. Good evening. What a fantastic track to host a World Championship race on. There's nothing like Suzuka. I don't think there's anybody who doesn't love Suzuka, so really looking forward to the event.
Yeah, we're absolutely privileged and honoured to really have such an important race in the season at Suzuka. And indeed, Remco Zeuw on broadcast direction tonight will help us bring all the pictures and action to you this evening. And we begin thusly with our qualifying session. And of course, 2 weeks ago, we saw Mark Schluter officially crowned as the new world champion in FSR for 2025 with time to spare. A dominant drive at the United States. It must be agreed, David.
Well, absolutely. Mark has been outstanding. He's been pushed hard on a few occasions by Jeffrey Fournier and by Reuven Meshti and Yannis Braxok. They've definitely pushed him hard, but he has been so consistent. Looking along the line of his season, he's been incredible. First place, second place, sixth place, first place, second place, and the win. So a deserved world champion. But the fight for second in the championship is really wide open, and that still keeps us very much riveted because Sander Callis is on 112 with a whole brace of fourth places and one podium. Patrick Hanko is on 107, 3 podiums. Jeffrey Fournier on 104. And even Tom Oldenmenger and Yannis Braxok are outside chances to make it into maybe the top 3, if not second place. So we've got a very competitive fight for second in the Formula Sim Racing World Championship, which we can certainly look forward to.
Yeah, it is very, very important as well for the drivers still vying to become runner-up. And of course, our constructors, our teams who want to deliver a shared glory between their series of drivers. As of course I was corrected 2 weeks ago, where the best 2 cars contribute points to their team's championship. So CMT Go Team Racing got a first and a third, which put them another 18 points ahead of Optimal. So it was +2 before we kicked off in Kota, and now it's a 20-point lead for CMT in this second to last round of the season. And so far so good. Optimal on a fight back here in qualifying so far, David, but you want to, as always, introduce FSR to perhaps a new visitor to our YouTube stream. So
thank you, Owen. I mean, I know we have a lot of very regular viewers here for Formula Sim Racing, but if you're new to Formula Sim Racing and you're wondering what it is, this is the ultimate form of elite sim racing for open-wheeler drivers. If you are a sim racer on any platform, and if you want to find out how you would go against the very best in the world, this is where you come to do it, because these guys are the best open-wheeler drivers. Here we use rFactor 2 because it is the most authentic and high-fidelity sim available. There is nothing that can surpass it in open-wheeler racing, and the core game engine for rFactor 2 is the same one that's found in the proper real-life Formula One team simulators. It's called rFactor Pro. So this is the most authentic sim. This is the highest level of open-wheeler driving competition in the world. And we welcome you to come and have a go. We hope to expand next year into a third grid. So you can come along, try and join a team and learn how to go faster and measure yourself against the very finest drivers in the world. So come along and get involved. We'll be having a winter series at the conclusion of the main series. So there's an opportunity there to get involved in Formula Sim racing and test out your competence and also learn and get better.
Yeah, absolutely, David. Thanks very much for introducing that, as you usually do. We're down to 3.5 minutes of qualifying. Brashok remains on provisional pole, but Sander Kallas has improved his chances considerably there, rising from 4th to 2nd just on our pictures a moment ago. And we're going to see what our champion Schluter can do in response. He's currently P4 on the grid. He has found sector 2, far more pace there, the more technical second sector. With a lot more straights as well. So through the final Casio triangle he goes, aggressively on the curbs, and he decides, no, this lap is not going to be sufficient and I'll need to pit and go again. You have about 2 out laps realistically before you have to go for one last try here to set a time for the grid. And now here's Elikez down through the hairpin now before he decides that lap is not good enough either.
Just noticing that Istvan Single, he will certainly have his eye in. He's running in 3rd at the moment. He just competed in the pro event here in Suzuka, and in fact, I think he may have wrapped up the championship. So to jump from pro to World Championship and be placed in the top 3 in quali would be a hell of an event. And I think he'll probably find his way onto the World Championship grid for next season.
Yeah, it's certainly a title fight with Giuseppe Canzonieri as well. So definitely intense stuff. If you missed the pro event streamed about an hour ago, in its conclusion there, about an hour it finished up. So yeah, you've got your double feast of FSR. But now with 2 minutes to go, I should say, the clock ticks down to 2 minutes to go. We're watching Istvan Single to see how he gets on, as Optimal need a way back into this title picture after picking up an important win at Singapore. Has been a very challenging sort of November for them, as of course they had the dismay of Geoffrey Fournier spinning at the 3rd to last corner at Kota, and he lost his rear wing, which made it impossible to stay in the hunt, but he at least picked up some points for P10 for his own personal benefit there. And of course Zeuw Sucks crashed out himself, so it was a very, very trying time for Optimal, but they still got belief now, as Janos Brashok is hanging in there. But now we have Viscott on camera at the moment, so let's see if Lucas can maintain this pace. He's got a green first sector, 31.1, and he wants to try and solidify that in sector 2.
Yeah, I think we're without Geoffrey Fournier this weekend. He's got other commitments, but he really pushed Mark Schluter hard at Kota, and with an interesting strategy. And I think it was going to be very, very close by the end. And of course he pushed him to the limit in Singapore and won Singapore. He got forced a very rare mistake from Mark Schluter to win the Singapore event.
Here's a welcome return for Reuven Machedi, who was an outside bet for the title. But of course, the Belgian Grand Prix, where I made my first appearance, went horribly wrong for him. And a bit of a disappointment there. He's down in P17. He didn't get a great rhythm there. But of course, he knows his way around a lot of our FSR machinery and all the circuits that are hosted here. So I'm sure if he can tune that strategy to play a long game, then I'd say he could be a contender for some points. So let's hope that Reuven is feeling a bit more confident there, but disappointment there to be in 17th.
Yeah, just noticing the top 13 all within 1 second, and there is a lot of action in a lap here at Suzuka. So with 53 laps to compete over, a lot can happen. You can work the tyres a little bit too hard, push a little bit too much, or you can be a little bit cleverer and perhaps preserve your tyres a little bit to wait for the moment to come when you really want to strike.
Yeah, and Patrick Hanko has struck on 0 to go on pole position. Remarkable stuff there, as Patrick, who's definitely trying his very best to build up a late contendership. Mark Schluter responds himself, going on pole at 1 minute 25.3. The track evolution is really building now. Christian Pasquale wants to have a go himself here in what would be an incredible session for CMT Go.
Yeah, it looks like Christian Pasquale got a PB, but didn't improve his position. Second and third place separated by 1,000th of a second, both on given a 1:25.506, but Hanko got it by 1,000th over Brackshock. Incredible. I'm going to do my duties now sorting the grid, so I'll leave you with it for a minute.
Yes, indeed. So there's a look at your timing screen one last time. Mark Schluter, he's not resting whatsoever. He's on pole once again for CMT Go Team Racing. His teammate Patrick Hanko, who wants to get himself second in the championship, has his back on the front row. Janos Brašok is the best optimal in third. Sander Kallas for Ground Effect Sim Racing goes P4, hoping to defend his second place in the championship. Istvan Singal, Zolt Sux, Cosmo Pasquito, Yats Latinen, Christian Pasquale, and George Zalozgianis complete our top 10. Crossing over to our second page, Peter Knapp, Lucas Viscott, Matthew Tucson there in the other Ground Effect Sim Racing team car, Saba Ekeles, Tom Oldenmenger, Amine Suisi, Nandor Marsa, and then Ruben Machete knocked down to the very back of the grid. So yeah, planning will be needed there for the German, who has not scored a single point since his victory in Austria all the way back in round 4. And of course, he is back. He wants to help his team as best he can. So that means he'll have to work his way all the way from the very end of the field. So no doubt about it, he'll have to think of a very snappy strategy, because overtaking around Suzuka can be a challenge. Turn 1 into 2 is an obvious spot if you can get a run. You have to stay single file through the S's up past Dunlop and the Degners, and then maybe the hairpin could be a chance, spoon curve could be a chance, and maybe, just maybe, 130R. Take your bets now if you think someone will perform a pass at 130R or not, or else of course the Casio Triangle at the end of the race track can allow for an overtaking spot. So yeah, it's good to see the mix and match of all our team. Like I haven't mentioned them there, P4, 115 points, so they're kind of stuck in the middle, and they want to try and get some points. And an MV Conquest have the likes of Viscott and Latinen on the grid, so there's a chance there for Conquest to pick up a few points. We'll now just get our final bit of admin sorted. We'll get our formation lap underway, so let's stay tuned for that.
The Sim Racers Performance Guide, your guide to race setup, strategy, driver performance. Dive in deep, learn about suspension, aero, braking, drivetrain, with a 77-page manual packed full of hours of video tutorials as well. Learn how to fully engineer your setup and get more from your sim. Written and tested by real-world racing drivers, proven in Formula Sim Racing and VEC. Understand and optimize it all with the Sim Racers Performance Guide. Quote FSR for a 20% discount off the normal €10 price.
And you're all very welcome back. I'm getting ready. Getting ready now. Now you're grand, Jet. Yeah, so we're almost ready to get racing. So the warm-up session, probably just a quick dash around the track to dial in your setup. And we will be on the circuit momentarily.
Yep, we'll give them about one more minute, just to get used to having 120 odd litres of fuel versus 5 litres, and something other than a soft compound. I see Sander Callis has just put a 31.4. So they're going about 6 seconds slower. So the dynamics of handling the car changes a lot on full fuel with even a medium, let alone full fuel with a hard tyre.
Yeah, looking back on the chosen strategies in the 2024 race, which was won by Race Clutch's Eoin McGaughey, it was a medium, hard stint for every driver from first to fifth. Jarl Tyen in sixth had a medium, hard medium, and the soft tyre only really popular for those towards the back, hoping to get a fastest lap on her, for example. And Reuven Machedi was actually the fastest lap holder last season on that finale event. So you'll need a big gamble to work a soft tyre around here, David, in my opinion. So yeah, probably stick with convention.
Yeah, absolutely agreed. And having a look at the live timing telemetry at the moment, Callis, Pasquale and Susi are on hards, Schluter and Hanko and Bracksock on mediums, Istvan Single on a soft. So I won't go through them all, but we'll get ready now to get the guys progress for the race.
Yeah, indeed. So everyone should be now all set and ready. And that will give us the chance to explore the circuit for the first time as a collective. As of course, private qualifying means that you all share the circuit, but you don't actually interact with another car. You just worry about your own driving, and you can't benefit from a slipstream or be discombobulated by a yellow flag for another incident, for example. So, strategy should now be locked in. And we'll get ready for this formation lap in just a moment, as everyone needs to actually be summoned to the circuit, and then we can get going.
Yeah, the drivers subject to, well, the cars are subject to parc fermé, and there is a very limited range of things that they can adjust. They can change the front wing, they can change brake pressure, brake balance, and they can change, in fact, the engine braking setting. That's something that you can do on the fly in these cars as well, in this fantastic Formula car that Robin Pansar created for us for this season.
It is a smashing chassis, it must be said, and no doubt about it. If anyone fancies their chances for 2026, then yeah, get studying at how these world-class drivers all fare tonight. And this is definitely a chance to see drivers putting it through their absolute limits as Suzuka challenges every aspect of a car. As of course, straight lines, you have about 3 or 4 straights that you can fight on. You've got the S's, you've got hairpins, and other magnificent corners. So let's get going for our formation lap. It's myself, Eoin Harmon, and David O'Reilly taking you through the grid right now. It's on pole position, the world champion, Mark Schluter, with his teammate Patrick Hanko alongside, Janis Bracksock and Sander Callas on the second row. The top 5 was completed by Istvan Single, with the second optimal of Zeuw Suks beside him in 6th, Cosmo Pasquito and Jas Latinen, 7th and 8th. Christian Pasquale, George Zalogianis, Peter Knapp and Lucas Viscott, 9th through 12th.
It does look like Callis is going to run a hard.
Oh, interesting.
And I think Sander Callis, who is a very experienced World Championship driver, he pursued a strategy starting on hards at the Circuit of the Americas as well. And it's almost like Sander almost likes to sneak up from behind. He takes his medicine on the hard tyre early, and then when he switches to the soft stuff, he is ready to attack when other drivers are perhaps switching to a hard compound. So it'll be interesting to see his progress and whether or not he can hold off. There's 4 people immediately behind him on mediums. It's Van Single, Zoltan Suks, Cosmo Pasquito, and Yassi Latinen all behind him on the medium, and they'll all be wanting a piece of him, because if you get stuck behind somebody who's on the hard, things don't get better later in the race when the roles are reversed.
Yeah, not at all. And there we go, just moving along to our live cameras to show our tire compound strategies there. You can all see Sander Callas is the odd one out in the top 5, and then Christian Pasquale agrees with him in the top 10. Those drivers just through the 13th position there, Matthew Toussaint, then Saba Elekes, Tom Aldenmenger, Amine Suisi, Nandor Marsa, and Ruben Machedi complete the grid. So the points go down all the way to P15. That's Tom there. He's on the bubble to pick up a World Championship point. So 3 drivers of these 18. David will not score a point today, but no doubt about it, it's all about the battle for second in the Drivers' Championship, and the Constructors' Championship is still up for grabs between CMT Go Team and Optimal. There we go. Everyone is set in their grid slot. You can go racing once these red lights can come on and then back off again. A few cars will be starting to pit lane, actually. So hopefully they will be allowed go after everyone else passes them by. So the famous camera shot overlooking the start-finish straight at turn 1. It is a very, very iconic shot, and we're going to be treated to yet another edition of Formula Sim Racing World Championship around Suzuka in just a moment's time. Waiting now for the big moment. Everyone should be settled down now. They're just going to make sure their clutch engagement is spot on. They don't want to get bogged down. There we go. Hopefully everyone is ready.
Potentially somebody.
Very long haul.
Yeah, potentially someone out of position.
Yeah, you've got to make sure it's all above board. No one gets an unfair advantage. Here we go. The lights illuminate. 5 in total. And they're away. Let's see which of our CMT Go Team cars has a better launch. And it might be on the inside. It could be Hanko, but no, he backs out to allow Schluter use the banking to his benefit. And Janos Brashok has to defend with Zolt Sux. And now Sander Callas on the hard compound tires is down a position.
Zoltan Sux got an absolute flyer of a start. It was marginal as to whether or not he actually jumped the start. It was incredible. He crowded the guys on the row in front within a second or 2 of his launch. So unbelievable launch from Zoltan Sux.
Yeah, outstanding work there to make sure he could make up a position. Not at all easy here at Suzuka. And green flags continue to wave. So it's a safe start. Oh, bit of late braking there from Callas. Very courageous effort, but it wasn't to be. Schluter on the medium compound, pulling about half a second on his teammate thus far. And now into spoon curve for the first time. You'll definitely see everyone's technique on show here. You can go high to the first apex and then cut in on the second, or else you can go a bit higher on the second one and then try and get a lot of push down this back straight. The West Circuit, I believe it would be that start finish straight there. And there's a 130R attempt there from Single, but it was just a little bit too soon as there is just so much traffic, and that will definitely affect the aerodynamics of his car.
Yeah, I don't think his fan Single had a clean race in pro, so I think he wants to really enjoy this one, or I would expect that he just wants to really enjoy this one error-free and see what he can put out there.
And on the high side, Riven Machedi. Oh, it's an incredible effort here against Peter Knapp. Knapp won't let him by until it's too little too late, and they'll continue the fight into the S's. Almost contact. Oh. There is contact. And Machedi's comeback is over on lap 2. The rear wing is gone. The front wing is gone. And Peter Knapp will certainly debate that one, as he was trying to fight back on the second portion of the S's, but a horrible, horrible moment there as Machedi was starting to get back in the groove.
Yeah, just unfortunate, really. Lap 2 and race absolutely compromised. It looks like Machedi's going to, Ruben Machedi's going to press escape and return to the pits. It was just always going to end in tears, fighting side by side through the S-curves.
Really, really just a tormenting situation there. The side-by-side continued on, and yeah, DNF for Elekes. And now Machete decides enough's enough. And the gap comes down for race leader Schluter, though, as Hanko will soon get the shot of DRS. And he'll try and balance the situation here. He'd be very grateful if he could compete for the win against the new world champion. But Optimal, they will have to work together there with Brashok and Sux, now that they've lost a big name driver from their pack. Single there in P6 would be plan C. But Christian Pasquale, he's got the move done against Suisi.
Now, I think we'll have DRS from the next time round, and we have several drivers that are certainly within the 0.7, and the one I'm expecting action from is going to be Istvan Single, because he is 0.4 of a second behind Sander Callis, and Sander Callis is on the medium, so Istvan Single is going to want to use Callis is on the hards, so Single is going to want to use the pace in his mediums and give himself a little bit of breathing space for later on when he's got to use a harder compound.
Yeah, definitely needs to use the early laps to build a foundation to make sure he does have that time in hand. We're on board on the front nose cone camera of Single, and he's gone into the kitty litter as well. But thankfully he was on the brakes immediately, so he could capture the slide before it became too much to endure by hitting the wall. But already Christian Pasquale will have a lot more acceleration, and he should be clear. Yes, a wise decision there. But hopefully those medium tires aren't too badly flat spotted. He would have gone sideways, and that's a horrible stress on any tire. But to go sideways all fours into a gravel trap is not at all healthy, so he just needs to alert the team if there's any trouble with his tires.
Yeah, it did look like he was going to be able to escape any kind of body damage, panel damage or engineering damage, but his tyres would have absolutely skyrocketed in temperature, and he's going to probably take half a lap to bring those temperatures down. I'm actually on board with him to see if I can see any visible vibrations through his steering wheel, because in this simulation, if you flat spot a tyre, you get a very lifelike vibration, almost to the point where your vision will blur, but it looks like he's okay. So he's still in good shape, only 9 seconds off the lead, 4 wheels on his wagon, and he's got plenty of laps to make it happen, but he would be kicking himself for the fact that he lost that rear end second half of Spoon.
Yeah, so we're watching Single on his fight back from his solo error. No one else was in the vicinity at Spoon Curve a lap ago, and now he's a bit more careful on the curbs this time, so he can complete the turn properly. And have to figure out a way to catch up to Pasquale again. Let's watch an action replay of the moment from the T-cam. There he goes, just following along as normal. He can take the initial apex, and just on the high side of the curbs there on the outside, it just cost him the traction he needed, so he was a bit more careful this time. But yeah, at least he could just re-engage his gears and carry on in a straight line without affecting anyone else, as Christian Pasquale did overtake him on pace, and he's trying to catch him back up. Better lap from him this time, just 10th better off, or just under a 10th better on the last lap. But now back to our race leaders here. David Schluter, not as quick on his last lap. He's let the chasing pack catch him up a little bit, but he doesn't have any reason to be overly concerned just yet, as he does have very strong first sector right now. 33.2 is the best of anyone so far in the race.
Looks a little bit like Yassi Lahtinen is going to pick up the mantle left by Istvan Single and try to attack Sander Callis too. Looks like he's going to be within DRS of Sander. He's just got to not get overexcited and lose it, and he could be well in shape to attack Sander Callis quite soon on these hards.
Yeah, that's the thing with Latina now. The fact that MV Conquest, they have been having ups and downs this season. Latinen has been their best performer. Got a P9 at Kota 2 weeks ago. Lucas Viscott outside of the points at the moment, of course, a long way back, unfortunately. So it's up to Yassi, and on DRS he is looking strong. So Callas comparing the lap times now. Actually, Sander was better by 2/10, particularly in the first sector. That proved advantageous. But these medium compound tires should last another 12 or 13 laps before any serious consideration is needed for a pit stop. So right now, I do believe Latinen, if he can react to what's just happened to him on this last lap, then yeah, he should definitely close a little bit closer on Sander Callas.
Yeah, I would agree with you there. I think that probably 15 to 17 laps is pretty doable on these mediums, as long as the drivers just look after them a little bit where they need to keep them good. And this is where the craft comes in with these elite level World Championship drivers. They can go super quick, but also look after the tyre by rotating the car and then absolutely stomping the throttle rather than having steered angle in there while they have full throttle, and at a few key points, and you can really rest the fronts a little bit by doing that. But you can't do it in 130R. You certainly can't do it in Dunlop, and you because those long, fast left-handers, there is no way you can conserve tyres through those.
No, I'm afraid not. Patrick Hanko, as we just witnessed a moment ago, closed the gap on his teammate Schluter quite nicely into the Castro triangle, but then on corner exit it equaled itself out a bit. Zolt Sucks by himself in P4 at the moment. Of course, Callas could catch him up later on in the stint, put in a PB of a 131.3. So it's pretty on the spot where he needs to be at the moment. And now the top three split up again by about 0.5 of a second apart from each other. Frank Shock, and now Sux is definitely gaining. Looking once again at first sector. Yeah, big push from Sux at the moment, so it will become a four-way battle for these podium places. And Sander Callas is starting to lose a little bit of track to him now. So this could be really interesting to see what the team dynamics are, David. Whether Sux could have a try at overtaking his teammate and then pushing on, or will Patrick Hanko have to back off and let Schluter escape?
The pace amongst the top guys, all top four, last lap was a 31.3. Incredible consistency and performance by these guys at this elite level.
Yeah, top quality. We're now flying in this race. It's going to be lap 8 in just a moment. There it is, lap 8. And there we go. Good run here from Zalogianis, who's picking up a few places since qualifying. And he wants to take a look at Latinen on the inside. He's done it. That's a beautiful pass there. And is now P7 for the Greek. And that will mean Ground Effect SimRacing team get a little bit of bragging rights over MV Conquest.
Beautiful pass into turn one. That really takes big commitment to get that done properly, and also a little bit of confidence in the skill level of the driver that you're attacking. So well done to both of them.
Oh my goodness, it's Nandor Marza out of the 130R. He went past the original corner, but then on the corner exit has hit the curb, and it spun him severely out of control. The counter steer proved too aggressive, and that means that CMT Go team have lost the car now, and everyone who's still running is going to get at least a point. So that's horrible news for Nandor. Really sad to see that. And return to live pictures now with the top four still very tightly compacted, and Sander Callas, he can push on. Yeah, looking pretty good in the second sector for Hanko in particular, that Andy Brashok. They'll get the use of DRS now. Here we go, lap 9. And again, the lap times are so similar. But definitely Zolt Sux was the best of the top four. Callas gains a little bit on our leader, as indeed Pasquito and Zalogianis have as well. They're still on the outer reaches. As we watch our HUD on the bottom right, the track map shows just how close it is for our drivers, ranging from Schluter down to Tom Oldenmenger. He's just a little bit adrift, but he's not too far out of it either.
So these next 5 or 6 laps, Owen, always get very interesting, because what we do is we find out who's got the goods on worn tyres, who's managed to save tyres a little bit more, so who's going to have the upper hand around the pit stop cycle as they dive in and change tyres. Now, they'll have a strategy already organised, whether they're going to bolt on another set of mediums or perhaps take some hards for the second stint. But it's around the pit stops that we'll start to see a little bit more action unfold on worn tyres, different strategies, different wear levels.
Yeah, really, really interesting to see what tyre performances is still available for these drivers, who has been favouring a conservative approach, just keeping the tyres in check, and who may have pushed very early to try and make a brand. And Pasquito should be in pit lane. Yes, there he is. CMT Go team with the first and second places on their control. They have Cosmo in pit lane, looking to change to a new compound perhaps, and give his team a little bit of data that they can bring forward to their lead drivers. So he now exits pit lane. It is quite an interesting one. The entry is perhaps more difficult than the actual pit lane. It is a medium length pit lane, off my knowledge there. But Pasquito now towards the back of the pack there in P13 by himself. As of course Peter Knapp and Viscott have made errors that have cost them a lot of time.
Yeah, a little bit earlier than I would have expected. I just would have thought 13 to 15 laps would probably be the target on the medium. Total pit lane delta for a tyre stop is 22 seconds. So that'll be an interesting thing to have in the back of our minds as we look again later. And everybody has slowed up a little bit, all doing 31.6s, 31.5s, 31.7s now. So tyre deg has kicked in a little bit now and affecting everybody's lap time.
Yeah, they're losing a couple of hundredths a lap now. You can definitely sense the peak performance of the mediums has certainly been it's been reached. But I suppose Schluter now feels like he has been saving the tyres, and he wants to make a concerted effort to have a push, and that's displayed there with a 131.2, which gained 0.3 of a second on Hanko. This could be a critical moment in the race if Hanko surrenders a DRS boost in his P2. Then Brashok and Sux could gobble him up before they have to pit. But we'll see now how Patrick can respond, knowing what's at stake for his season. He wants to finish second in the championship if he can. He needs to swap about 6 points off Sander. I know on tiebreaker, he has a P2. So Patrick needs just 5 points to level up with Sander, and then it will be a tiebreaker in his favour with P2 dating back to the Austrian Grand Prix.
Yeah, well, Schluter really turned it on last time around to manage a 31.2, and that sudden burst of speed often sort of indicates that there might be a pit stop soonish, and he's just taking out the last bit of performance out of his tyres to get himself set for a pit stop.
Yeah, and now we'll see now if the lap times tick away now that the tyre performance is still on the bubble. Schluter half a second slower compared to his pace last time, so that definitely boosts Hanko. He could keep in reach, and now here's Matthew Toussaint, who has a chance to overtake Amine Suisi for track position here. They're by themselves, 11th and 12th. Latinan is in pit lane, so that's why he's down a few places. He was in P8 before the stops, and now he's going to be just behind Pasquito, who took the pit stop just a little while ago. So Latinan doesn't really benefit from an overcut either. He has lost a bit of time to Pasquito, so now he'll use his hard tires, David, to try and rally back into the battle for P8.
Yeah, it looks like he's grabbed the hard, so he's got to get that done at some stage. and he's decided that now's the moment to get the medicine out of the way. Schluter pace dropping off slightly, a 31.7 versus a 31.5 for not just Hanco, but also Brackshock and Zoltan Suk's all behind him. Sander Callis, a 31.2. So Sander Callis is the fastest guy yet to pit. And this is, of course, we talk about the pendulum swinging, because with the medium tyre, as you burn off fuel, you're getting lighter, but the tyre's going away from you a bit. But with the hard tyre, you've just got that beautiful thing that fuel effect is greater than tyre deg, so you actually get faster through the stint. So Sander is going to have a bit of a good time over these next few laps, and he is 2.7 seconds from the lead and still on hards. So if I was a betting man, and I'm not a betting man, I think I'd be putting a little wager that Sander Callis is going to make his presence felt, certainly on the podium, and maybe even for a first or a second in this race, because this is an outstanding performance on hard tyres. 13 laps in, 3.8 seconds off the lead, and the fastest car yet to pit. Prosciutto's gone quickest of all, but of course Prosciutto has pitted.
Yes, he's just made the overtake on Tucson. So while I did comment on Suisi and Tucson by themselves, it hasn't taken Cosmo very much time whatsoever to actually catch up. And now he's overtaken Matthew. So that is for 11th position. And the Brit has to just realise how he can fight back quickly. And indeed, Suisi has to think his own battles now, how he can play the numbers correctly and make sure he can hang on to the points he's got. So the push for these drivers in the top pack. And yeah, I think Zoltz has lost a lot of time. Just not very fast this particular lap. And he has been cut adrift. So Sander Callas, you were saying there, David, he's got a great chance to make his presence felt. And he can begin it with the trademark overtake to make a difference here. But there's a big defense there from Zolt, blocking the road there that Sander might have used. But now Zelos Janis and Alden Menger are in the pits, as is Single. So now we're seeing these medium tyres go away.
Yeah, Single is pitted from a pretty good position, really. I haven't been watching him much, but I think he ended up back in 12th or 13th after his little big slide at Spoon. So to have pitted from 8th, he's done some good work.
He has, and now Latinen, in fairness to him, he is through on Single, but he's actually right behind Alden Menger. That's very bad news for MV Conquest. They are going to be behind Tom, and the fact that the Vega Valley team want to have a long shot to beat Ground Effect SimRacing in the Teams Championship. They will prize every point they can get here. So Alden Menger just doing his best to help Vega Valley in their bid to catch them up. But it is going to be an extremely impressive effort to try and catch up 57 points in 2 races between 2 different cars where possible. And Latinen will see lap times. Circle 2, he got fastest lap on the previous tour, but now he needs to keep this going and make a move on Tom. Crossing the line is now our top 3, because Patrick Hanco gives up 2nd position to enter the pit lane, and Zot Sucks comes in from 4th. So Callas now has P3.
And almost everybody on the grid now on hard tyres, except for Istvan Single, who has decided he wants to be quick, and he's on the mediums.
There was a yellow flag in the crossover points underneath Degner 2 there. Might have been Peter Knapp by himself there, so he could be at risk of getting lapped. So yeah, it is all clear, it's all safe. Yeah, it is Peter Knapp. This will be Dunlop complete. Now Degner 1, that's fine, no problem there. Degner 2 misses the apex a little bit, but it's that curb again on the outside, and he does hit the wall, but his front wing has stayed in place, which is definitely a blessing there for Peter, and he can just carry on, making sure his tires are okay. The hard compound have been his since he needed to pit for repairs, so hopefully he hasn't done too much stress on them. So We'll carry on with Zeuw now on the case against Suisi. Hamine Suisi. Oh, he's already out of place there before Spoon Curve. That's excellently judged there by George. Oh, but he goes wide there, David. Almost a commentator's curse. And he's going to lose out here. Matthew Toussaint. He'll have the bullets in his eyes. He wants to push on and get this overtake in a counter-attacking fashion. But it's going to be very difficult to do it from back here now.
Yeah, Zeuw there. When you start to run wide at Spoon, time seems to slow down because you're carrying so much momentum there. You're so committed there. You can't make a small adjustment that's going to change the amount of G-force on your car, and you seem to have cruelly too much time to think. Although Zeuw now is back past Eoin Susi, virtue of a beautiful DRS pass. So nice bit of work.
Yeah, very nicely done. So Suisi for the Cellspot racing team there. Probably a new team. I didn't see them registered before now, so welcome aboard to the Cellspot racing team. And a very fetching looking car, has to be said. So Amine pushing as best he can now to get the team a very impressive opening to their season. So Latinan's at the back of the queue here, and he's gone for the inside at the hairpin, and he almost lost control there. Oh, scary moment there, but he actually held it to give him a compliment when it was looking quite scary for a moment there, David, but he's not going to give up despite that, and Toussaint has to continue watching his mirrors. And race leader in the pits.
Mark Schluter pitting. By the way, Sander Callis was within 3 seconds of him before Schluter dived in the pit, so he converted that 3.6 second gap down to a 3 second gap. And let's see. So Schluter went 16 laps.
Oh dear, that single getting too aggressive against Toussaint. That should be a clear indicator to swap positions back. That was an illegal overtake, and yet there we go. Unfairly judged there by Istvan. Pardon the interruption there. As Schluter returns to the circuit. P5 on hard tyres, just ahead of Zeuw. So that's going to be a pleasant outcome there for CMT Go Team. So much going on now. This race is really starting to pick up.
Yeah, very dramatic bit of action.
See into the Casio triangle. Istvan fancied his chances, but the car would not grip for him in time, so he does end up overtaking Matthew with a bit of contact, and he realizes, I need to pull over and let him back through because that was unfair. It was not a completed turn whatsoever, so he will try again now, and he knows these medium tires still have plenty to give as he's pitted medium and then medium again, so there will be a hard tire compound stint required for Istvan later on, so he knows these laps are critical for his strategy when he knows a lot of drivers will, without a doubt, take mediums in their final stint as opposed to this case where he's gone medium.
Yes, I'm just pondering how far Sander Callis is going to go on these hards, because he's with a 22-second pit stop. He's currently in net 6th place if he pitted now, but of course he's going to come out with the upper hand. The longer he makes this stint last on the hards, the harder he can push on the mediums when he puts on the mediums and decides to go really quickly, and everybody else around him are on hards. So Sander Callis is banking himself some really good tyre performance for later on in the race. And the hard tyre here, well, the hard tyre on this particular car has so much more life than the mediums. If you look at the drop-off, it's at least 50. Oh my goodness! Almost let it go. Goodness gracious! What a moment! That's a heart rate jumper, that one.
Oh my heavens gracious! Yeah, that was the moment of the race there, just out of the exit of Spoon Curve. He was on the AstroTurf, and he managed to hang on in there. So yeah, we will have to watch out as we have Istvan Single, who made that more appropriate overtake on Tucson. Now he's made his way by Suisi. So that's very, very impressive now from Single, who has a lot of time to make up on Latinen. But he knows these medium tires have another dozen laps or so of life before they have to be pitted. And now back to the contest in P4. Janos Brashok. His best chance realistically is to help his teammate Zeuw back into the race here, who's going medium as well. There will have to be a way for Janos to use this brief moment where Schluter is behind him, using that extra few laps to pit to his advantage. So yeah, the undercut very strong for Janos by 1 lap. It was a 1 lap undercut and he made it work. But Mark will have to figure out how he can make his way by just before the threat comes in behind from Zeuw, the Hungarian driver, who's really pushing now on this stint at 32.9 first sector, gaining 0.3 on Schluter in that 1 sector alone. And now we'll head down to Spoon Curve, where no doubt about it, Zeuw will be more courageous on the brakes.
Yeah, well, Sander is travelling about 1.5 seconds slower than the people pursuing him on the very fresh hards. But he's now, in terms of lap count, he's only 33 laps from home now. So he could put on 2 sets of mediums and absolutely stomp it on both those sets of tyres and be super quick. And when he comes back out on his fresh mediums, he's going to be in about 8th place. But everyone around him is going to be on worn hards and he's going to be on fresh mediums, and he will be able to absolutely carve it up. So I can't wait. I can't wait for Sander Callis to rejoin on mediums. Actually, it's going to be a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah, but in the pits, that battle was ever so brief. In the end, is a box situation there for Amine Suisi. So he leaves Matthew Toussaint to his own race, and Toussaint will have to react in a few laps to that situation, as of course they're both on the hard. But the chance for the Cell Pot racing team to push on and try again. They've got the freedom of the circuit at the moment, as Viscott won't be anywhere near Amine for that position. But Schluter, he's got a good lap at the moment here. Brashok actually put in a PB last time, but looking at the splits, they're all in the 33.0s. We'll notice the gap has definitely increased there. Sucks taking a bit of time on this lap, and we'll confirm it in Sector 2 now, just before 130R. Brashok, green Sector 2, but Sucks has lost 1/10 of a second to Schluter. 40.0 for Brashok is the best of the 3 there, but now DRS is going to equalise the playing field a little bit. The race leader Callas is in the pit, so lap 21 begins with the new race leader. It's Patrick Hancock.
And Callis on the mediums as predicted.
Christian Pasquale in the background there, also exiting pit lane for CMT Go team.
Callis has come out ahead of George Zeligianis, so that's somebody he hasn't got a fight. But he's behind Cosmo Prosciutto, and Cosmo is on the hards and doing about a 31.1. Sander's going to drop into the low 30s on these fresh mediums and absolutely go for it. So 9.5 seconds off the lead on his outlap. I'll try to remember that for later on in 10 laps time, where we see where he's standing.
Yeah, we'll have to keep a mental picture of that. But Callas, his objective for the short term is to find a way past Cosmo Pasquito. Through the Spoon Curve they go. And
that was actually Peter Knapp. That was a lapped car.
Excuse me, lapped car. Excuse me.
And in fact,
yeah,
Peter Knapp probably could have done a little bit more to assist there. It was a bit like racing for position rather than just making it easy. So everybody wants to race, but when you're a lap down and you're dueling with somebody who is in effect fighting for a podium, you've got to make yourself very much not an issue.
Yeah, I wasn't watching my timing tower appropriately there, but it did look like a battle for position with critical consequences up for grabs there, so never mind me. We're on board with Istvan Single, who has a chance to overtake Christian Pasquale, but it may just be a little too late for this first attempt. And it proves to be. He understeers a little bit through the first set of apexes there, and now into the S's. He will push on as best he can with those mediums. Pasquale, in fairness to him, had a green second and green third sector on pit exit. So Pasquale, he is going to look a lot sharper on the fresh tires in just a moment. We'll confirm it now. Yeah, he's pushing really hard now that he has the hards underneath him that are fresh, and no doubt he will go for mediums at the end to complete the obligation to serve 2 different compounds, a single dry race.
Callas now 9.7 off the lead.
Yeah, it's important to see now. Callas going for fastest lap, 2 purple sectors in succession, which tells me that Cosmo Pasquito will actually be in a duel with the Ground Effect SimRacing team leader here. So fastest lap up for grabs here for Callas, and he's got it at 129.8. Absolutely stunning work there, but Callas still has a bit more to do. And Cosmo Pasquito got to be aware now of what's going on. So the driver from the United States, he's got a lot of big pressure now to try and help out his team. And let's see if Cosmo, whose best ever result in FSR World Championship is a pair of 8th positions. He hasn't scored a single point since then. Can he actually help out the CMT Go team with this valuable situation to help block Callas, who is a contender to go for the win here, using that alternate strategy? So Pasquito will have to do his best here to defend.
Meantime, Patrick Hanko is really delivering the goods here in the lead. 2 seconds clear of Janis Brakchok, who's driving brilliantly as well, and holding Mark Schluter at bay. And remembering how close these guys were in qualifying, they've all got super pace here. And these top 3 guys, I think, all on the hard tyre. Yeah, all stopped around about the same time. Although Schluter might have run a little bit longer, and that's the reason he's behind them at this point.
Oh my goodness! And Latinan getting very close. And he's lost control. He hits the tires. The entry to pit lane, and he's shot out in front of Single. Oh my heavens! That could have been an enormous spill. Latinan's race is over. Pasquale defending, and all of a sudden the MV Conquest just slid sideways down the banking, a bit similar to Juan Pablo Montoya 20 years ago at the Japanese Grand Prix in F1. So Latinan, he was shell-shocked there, and then all of a sudden the aerodynamics just go, and he hits the tyre sort of cushion to protect the pit lane entry.
And while all that was happening, Sander Callas overtook Cosmo Pasquito. Latinan had some dirty air, I think, from somebody there.
Yeah, it would have been the
Christian Pasquale.
Yeah, Pasquale, exactly. Yeah, so the onboard shot there provided by Remco Zeuw just shows the.
Dear me.
Yeah, it just shows the fact that
that's diffuser stall there when you're so close behind the other car, and there is no free air traveling under your car to supercharge your diffuser. Or rather, to charge your diffuser, you have a massive loss of rear grip, and unfortunately, that ended his race.
Yeah, it was an opportunistic overtake there by Pasquale, and Latina and tried his best to respond, but then the car, as you said, it lost the diffuser grip there, and just ended up in a big accident. I would have certainly been very afraid for Single. He would not have expected an accident there. You never usually see it here at Suzuka's. Your ideal racing line is to stay on the outside line and then cut inside, so you very rarely go near pit lane entry. in a ordinary racing lap. So to have a car spin out like that off the barrier would be terrifying. But he's out of the race. Istvan is out of the race. He has DNF'd. I don't know what might have happened there. Could have been a disconnection. It just seems so sudden.
I'll have a quick look.
Thanks very much, David. So we'll check a replay. Single through the S's. Nearly there now. One last right-hander to go. And the Dunlop curve was coming, and then it didn't even arrive as the back end completely disappeared on the optimal. So there weren't any yellow flags out of turn 7. Turn 6 into 7 there. So a scary incident there for Istvan, who was just saying got away with a terrifying sight in front of him, but now is behind him. That ended up knocking him out of the race. So the attrition rate is skyrocketing now. We're down to 13 active drivers, which means several points will go to non-finishers. Viscott and Knapp will have to overtake the crash site in just a moment from now. There we go. Viscott is ahead. So that's P12 there for Lucas. And then Peter Knapp, a lap down, will soon get that P13. So drivers at halfway, they're starting to disappear on us, David. So they've got to stay calm as best they can.
Yeah, indeed. And I mean, the S-curves in Sector 1 here at Suzuka are incredible to drive. But if you absolutely pin it and treat it like a qualifying lap, by the time you get to where Istvan Single lost the rear end, you can really, really overheat the tyres and lose grip. So you've got to just ever so slightly measure it out, and just unfortunately lost the rear end. And I think it was the rear end. He lost the rear end at Spoon as well, didn't he? So a slightly oversteery car on the limit potentially, and that has cost him dear. But he showed good pace while he was here, and hopefully he had a good time.
Absolutely, yeah. So one more race to go for any driver who has the disappointment of tonight. If they want to practice for Mexico in the next couple of weeks, then yeah, I would be very grateful to have them back. So they'll have to just put today behind them if they're not able to see the checkered flag, and then just try one last time for Mexico City before the 2025 FSR World Championship is done and dusted. But Christian Pasquale is through on Tom Aldenmenger.
Mexico is going to be interesting. Just to digress slightly, I've certainly not driven Mexico in rFactor 2. I've driven it on the Cody's game a few times.
Yeah, me too.
Not a favourite track of mine. Doesn't have a tremendous rhythm, but it's going to be a real adventure for everybody.
Yeah, without a doubt. You have a lot more overtaking spots around Mexico if you can exploit them, with the high altitude start-finish straight being the most obvious. That the battle to turn 1 will be always a thrill, as you never know who's going to get the best launch. Like sometimes second place or third place could have an advantage if they have a better slipstream, for example. But now Mark Schluter, he's gaining on Brashok a little bit. So Patrick Hancock currently in command of this race. We'll have to look behind him as Brashok is very quick. This lap is looking pretty strong as well for Janos. So Mark Schluter will be trying to hang on the coattails there. Also pretty quick himself. So we'll switch and watch the start-finish times. And Hanko has lost about 4/10 to Brashok on this lap. And Schluter has pulled another 2/10 on both those drivers. So that is absolutely exquisite driving. So Zeuw sucks. Can't react to that. He's not very quick in Sector 2 at the moment. So that's danger for Zeuw, who could have Sandor Kalas, who is quick, bearing down on him.
Yeah, a bit of a stalemate at the front now, with Hanko, Brashok and Schluter all driving at such a high level and all absolutely on the limit of what this car can do, and very stable in the running order at the moment. The only thing happening is, well, Sandor Kalas is now 6 seconds behind them. So in fact, his assault has kind of stabilized a little bit. He's not really making massive inroads now because he's 6 or 7 laps. He's halfway through. Mark Schluter has just run wide on the outside of Spoon Curve, but no great loss of time. and no damage, but just ran onto the green stuff. So he's clearly on his limit. Brackshock might even have DRS this time round. He's within 0.7 of Hanco, so that would be interesting. One of these guys in the top three, and Hanco's going to have a little bit of traffic in a second too.
That's absolutely right. Yeah, that will be Viscott, wouldn't it? He's going to be lapped. Box Zeuw, who I believe has to take a hard tire at some stage. He doesn't want it, so this could be a 3-stopper for Zeuw if he's actually taken on a new set of mediums. We will double check that now as he actually enters pit lane. We'll watch the marking on the tire. I think I'm mistaken. Yeah, he's gone to the hards now. So yeah, Zeuw completes his obligation, and that should get him to close to the end of the race. Maybe he's got one last set of mediums to go if he wants to be super aggressive on his tires. He's well clear of Tucson, so Zeuw realistically, if he keeps it nice and calm, then yeah, definitely, it's the only way is up for him.
Yeah,
Oldenburger has to be careful.
He should make it home from here, no problems. 23 laps on the hard at this stage in the race with slightly lower fuel load and a bit more rubber on the circuit. He should have no problem at all doing 23 laps on those hards, and actually could have a pretty good time with low fuel on the hards.
That's it, yeah. So
Brackshock on Hanco now, 0.4 of a second as they enter the Casio Triangle. So Brackshock will definitely have DRS, and I think Brackshock is yet to win a race. So I'm sure he's very, very hungry. He's had the pace to win. DRS is open.
Yeah, DRS was open. Lap times 1/10 of a second better off for Brackshock, or perhaps 1500ths if you want to be very mathematical there. And Schluter, he puts that disappointment behind him. Oh my goodness, just on our screens here, Christian Pasquale has an attempt at Zeuw there. But now, yeah, this is a push, to say the least, from the CMT Go Team driver. But Zeuw not having a bit of it there. And well defended, it must be said. So, really, really good drive.
It's top three covered by 1.1 seconds now. Schluter's closing on Brackshock while Brackshock closes on Hanco. So this is getting very, very intense for the current podium places.
Ground Effects SimRacing cheering on their second driver today, Zeuw, and of course Tucson in 10th place, just minding his own business, but he's doing a commendable job on medium tires at the moment. Ground Effect team, really, really excited to see if they can get a couple of extra points by defending against Pasquale and maybe catch up to Pasquito as well. Lap 31 begins. Hanco remains in the race lead. He's losing a bit of time as Schluter. His comeback trial is definitely admirable. He is in sight once again. And this three-way fight for the victory will rage on. But Sander Callas on his medium tire is gaining little by little. Another half a second against leader Hanco. But needs more than that as Pasquito does take this moment to come in for hard tires.
Now, all these three top runners are within an undercut distance of each other. So it's going to boil down to who is the first one to pull the trigger on the undercut and jump on a set of mediums. And they probably don't want to do it more than 15 laps out. And they're currently 22 laps out. So 5 laps time, 6 laps time, who will blink first and who will dive in for some mediums? One thing's for sure, Mark Schluter is never one to be influenced by somebody else jumping onto a tyre too early. He knows how far the mediums will go, and he won't be tricked into an early stop. He'll stick to his guns and optimise his final stint. That's the way he plays, the world champion. He knows what he can do on the tyre, and he's not going to be tricked into pitting early. So let's see what Hanco and Brackshock think about it all.
Yeah, for sure. I know the Belgian Grand Prix was won on strategy in the end. Brashok tried his very best, but Schluter remained faith. He kept the faith in his own plans and pulled out the victory that time. On board now, Pascual tries again. He'll have to stay in the middle of the circuit as Zelogianis commits to the inside. Wheel-to-wheel combat. Oh, they lock up the tires, and Pascual gets buried in the barrier. The car's crabbing as it's lost the front wing. Oh, a heavy incident there. Zelogianis, I think he seems to be okay. He was able to get on the brakes sooner. Yeah, he's on the runoff area rather than the gravel trap. So Zelogianis was able to just carry on. The rear suspension hopefully okay from the impact. But Christian Pascual, another devastating moment for him. He will feel so heartbroken by that as he's picked up 6th place and a 4th place since I've been watching. But this will be a big blow to his rhythm. With 1 round to go, there you see the rear left of Zelogianis made contact with the front right of Pascual.
Yeah, very unfortunate for both drivers. One of those ones where it's incredibly difficult to see exactly where a car that's placed right beside you is, and both cars were fully alongside and both went for the same piece of tarmac. That will be a complicated one for the stewards to sort out. Were there a protest? And there's not always a protest. Sometimes the guys just leave the bad moments on the circuit. Whoop! Brakshock has just got Hanko. Oh no, sorry, Hanko is pitted.
Yeah,
and
everyone's
Brakshock and Hanko. Sorry, I can't get my words out. Hanko and Brakshock have both pitted. 20 laps out, and it looks like Hanko's gone for hards.
Yeah, Cosmo Pasquito just
they've both gone for hards.
Yeah, Pasquito just 10 seconds behind this battle. Got a purple 3rd sector. Not quite the fastest lap, but definitely a really impressive effort from Cosmo. But the fact of the matter is all 3 drivers pitted on the exact same lap. You very, very rarely see that at all in sim racing, where it's a team of 2 plus a single driver competing for a win, all pit at the exact same time. So it kind of takes away the potential boost or deficit you'd get from an undercut or an overcut, for example. So Hanko, Brashok, and the unlucky one out of this is Mark Schluter, because he needs to overtake George for position. But no, Zelogianis is not feeling very generous to our world champion. He will fight him as hard as he can. So this could be Sandor Callas's moment, it has to be said. The Great Effect Sim Racing team will feel this is golden, as they could get Callas. Yeah, he's coming in for his own stop here, David. So Sandor feels like this is the right time to get onto a fresh set and push for an outside shot at victory.
Well, and it looks like he's going for hards as well. So it's hard place, hard place, hard place, hard amongst these top 4. I did kind of think Sander might split the last 33 laps into 2 even stints on the mediums. He would have come out behind both these guys, but only 4 or 5 seconds behind. And so now he's on the same rubber as them. Yeah, interesting. He did 14 laps on the medium. Had he done another 3, I think he could have put another set of mediums on. But let's see what happens. These guys know more about it than me, so let's see what they end up doing. But I got to say, yeah, Hanko is in the box seat at the moment, isn't he? Exact same rubber, exact same tyre life, and he's the man in front. So go for it, Patrick Hanko.
Of course, yeah, Hanko. No wins in his 2025 career just yet. But yeah, to be fighting for the last couple of years to sample a victory has just been a tricky one for him so far. But yeah, really, really good run here. And what a time it would be when your team leader, Schluter, has won the title, to take inspiration from him and elevate your game that extra 10% to go on to win the race. Of course, there's another 19 laps to go thereabouts, so long stint to go. And here we go. with Sandor Kalas. He's got to overtake Zeuw, but he has to yield on this occasion. It was just too little opportunity there. He shouldn't lunge in, which was what he did. So Zeuw does help out Brashok just that little bit.
Yeah, Hanco's had 4 podiums and a best result of second place. So he's had 3 thirds and a second. His second place score was in Austria. So this would be his first World Championship win. And I think 2 races ago at Singapore, I think that might have been Geoffrey Fournier's first ever World Championship win as well. So very exciting when we're getting drivers achieving their first ever victory at World Championship level.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely his podium at San Marino in 2024 would have impressed the team bosses to give him a go in a full-time seat this season. And he still got the confidence to say, I can finish second in the championship this year, just behind my teammate Mark. Without Fournier on the server tonight, it will be a 2-way fight unless Tom Aldenmenger can make some gains late on. He really does need a podium today to make a realistic bid. Brashok, his DNF at Singapore, proved very costly. It snapped a good streak of results for him. So Brashok, yeah, he's still in a chance, but it will be a very difficult one with only 25 points for the winner. And then you've 21, 18, 15, and 12 for the top 5. So it will mean that Brashok would have to win the Mexican Grand Prix and need a few favors behind him to make his bid for second realistic. So it's going to be very, very difficult, but he's just about in range. But he needs to beat Patrick today. He's a second behind. He's going to push on very hard. Sandor Kalas, the defending vice champion so far as of today's standings, he will drop off behind Patrick by a very, very narrow margin, about 2 points swing. It'd be in Patrick's favor there. So Sander needs to make this overtake just to really help his case. And Zeuw knows, I've got to help my teammate as best I can.
Last time into turn 1, Sander Kalas was so close behind Zoltan Zeuw after a DRS attack. The cars were separated by, I don't know, a metre maybe. So Kalas is definitely attacking Zoltan Zeuw with massive commitment, and he's potentially a little bit closer this time around. So with some DRS and maybe a little bit of push to pass, is this the time that Kalas, although Zoltan Zeuw has just moved right close to the pit wall for some reason?
Probably just to disrupt the tow.
He's not as close as he was the last time around, so it's a very much a solid fight between these 2 guys, and nobody with clearly the upper hand. Both very, very quick people.
Of course, yeah. We will notice the times as they come in. Sector 1 complete for race leaders Hanco and Brashok. Schluter will be the happiest of the 3 there. He's not lost too much to Brashok, but Hanco through the S's, the slightly slower of the 3. Zeuw has worse off, but he is blocking Kalas's his charge. So Kalas the slowest of the top 5 in Sector 1. No fatal situation there. He can pick it up again through the straights. But here's look at Cosmo and his fight with Alden Menger. A little wiggly there, but it's okay. So Cosmo Pasquito will fight Tom Aldenmenger with everything he's got here. Comparing their stints, Pasquito is on much fresher tyres. Aldenmenger probably owes us a pit stop, and there's your overtake completed just before 130R. So that's a great pass there by Pasquito, just to make absolutely certain of it. Tom, will he need to pit very soon? He says no. The Vega Valet team are they're trusting their driver to carry on for a bit longer. But a 24 lap stint on hards, that is much longer than anyone else today.
Yeah, wow, it certainly is. I'm just looking through the lap times to try to figure out when he did last pit, and it looks like lap 14. So he's still on his first set of hards that he took on on lap 14. Yeah, 24 laps. He's definitely got a pit next time round. And that's going to drop him behind Zalagianis, pop him back into 8, but he might have fresh enough rubber to attack Zalagianis to get back into 7th place.
Yeah, we have Matthew Toussaint in the pits there in the third rFactor Racing team car. So he has plenty of time in hand against Lucas Viscott. So it's a case of nothing to lose, everything to gain. With Amine Suisi, he'll have to push on to catch him up, as Amine does need to pit for a medium set of tyres or else a soft set if he's feeling very adventurous. But Christian Pasquale now in P12. He's trying his best to overtake Lucas in the battle to not finish bottom of those who are able to see checkered flag waving at the end, or the checkered flag. So we'll keep an eye out on that one as well. But Sandor Callas, this is proving very, very challenging to his Grand Prix. He's doing his best to catch up, but he's not able to overtake Zeuw whatsoever, David.
No, Zeuw is very much keeping him at bay, and I just a little bit surprised that he didn't go a tiny bit longer and put a set of mediums on to at least be doing the opposite to what the other guys are doing, because otherwise you put yourself back in 5th place fighting guys on the same tyre as you. So we'll see who can hold it together. We've got 14 more laps to go.
Oh my! Now that's an overtake into 130R from Christian Pasquale, David.
Whoa!
Wow! Yes, brilliant stuff there. That definitely completes that sweepstake. No doubt in my mind, that was an aggressive overtake. Lucas didn't want to give it up, but he realised it was too little, too late. So there you go. If you listen to me pre-race, 130R is an overtaking spot tonight here in FSR World Championship.
Yeah, I think Viscott just didn't quite get the cleanest exit out of Spoon that he wanted, and Pasquale got right under him. A little bit of push to pass, and maybe even slightly less wing. Might have 1 click less wing. But yeah, beautiful pass through 130R. Absolutely.
Yeah, so Amir Oates, who helped out on cameras 2 weeks ago here on World Championship and on commentary with Ed Hunter in the pro class, called it the McGoggy. So yeah, he has his knowledge cap on tonight, as well as Ed giving us some fun facts in our YouTube chat. So thank you very much to the both of you for your extended help after your own duties earlier on in the evening. So still plenty to look forward to now. It's lap 40 for race leader Patrick Hanco. Wants to become a winner for the CMT Go team for the first time since his career began, probably about 11 months ago, thereabouts, you could say. So he's got Brashock behind, who knows how to get close to victory without necessarily getting it. So high emotions here, despite the Drivers' Championship landing on Mark Schluter's lap with 2 rounds to go. This is a chance for other drivers to have their opportunity, as Schluter proved to be rather unfortunate out of pit exit, as Zalagianis held him up for just enough time to make it a greater challenge to catch up. But Sandor Callas, now or never, to be honest here, David, he's got to make this overtake to stand any chance.
Well, he does indeed, and it doesn't look like he's got anything really in his pocket to do it. He hasn't got less wing, he hasn't got fresher rubber, he hasn't got a 1 step faster compound. So Zoltan Zeuw, who is a very, very talented driver as well, is going to be able to hold him off. I was putting myself for a moment into the mind of Janos Brachschok, who hasn't yet managed to defeat Mark Schluter in a straight fight. Normally, that fight would be for first place. So Janos, I imagine, has slightly mixed feelings in that he's ahead of Mark Schluter for the first time on similar tyre compounds on pure pace, but he didn't anticipate Patrick Hanco yet being in front of him and potentially winning the race. But I think Hanco and Brachschok, were they the guys that were separated by less than 1,000th of a second? during qualifying.
Yeah,
second,
you're probably
third.
right. Yeah.
So the pace that these guys got is so similar. It's going to be a case of, is someone going to crack? Has somebody used a bit too much push to pass, or has somebody not optimized their setup for worn hards? So less than a second between them, but both of them keeping Mark Schluter at bay, which is not a sentence we've found ourselves using at all this season to date.
Mark has only been defeated, I suppose you can put in inverted commas, 3 times. The Austrian Grand Prix was his lowest point with a P6, but even then, that's still 10 points to your tally, and that helped him over the top in the chase with Callas. Those points proving very valuable, of course. So even in his worst days, they were still very good days for Max Schluter, and he's a worthy champion. But today will go down as a miss unless something is to change in the next 11 laps or so. And Schluter, he's doing his best now by himself. PB in the first sector, so that's a good sign to keep him in the hunt. But Sander Callas just cannot get these hard tires working the second go around. It was a very fascinating effort, but it's not working for him so far, and it will turn into a 3-way fight for the victor at Suzuka. And
Sander was very close to Zoltan Zeuw's yet again into turn 1, but Zeuw has just pulled a little bit of a gap now. He's got about a best part of a second on him now as they enter the Casio Triangle. So Callas won't have DRS this time round. He's had DRS half a dozen times as they've progressed around this circuit, but he's not within DRS range now of Zoltan Zeuw.
And Patrick Hanko is trying his absolute best to break the 1 second barrier to alleviate himself of DRS, but now that the cars will go back and forth through the S's and into Dunlop, it will be so difficult to, now there we are, the Degners actually, it will be so difficult to really nail down how the gap is. A little slide there for Hanko out of Degner 2, but that's perfectly okay. Brashok will know that and try and push on, but Schluter is the quickest of everybody so far, so he is back in range almost. So 1 or 2 good corner exits could make the difference here. They'll enter a spoon curve right now. Yeah, looking nice and solid. Pushing on with all they've got now on the back straight. They'll cross the bridge just before 130R. Here it comes. You will be quickest of all in Sector 2, David. It's Schluter again. So 1 more strong sector for Schluter, and he will be on Brashok's rear wing with DRS. So we're on for a fight with 10 to go.
And actually, it's even harder than a 1 second gap. Here in Formula Sim Racing, the DRS activation point requires you to be 0.7 of a second behind the car in front to get DRS. So just to make it really make you earn your overtakes.
Yes, that's indeed the case. To my new knowledge tonight. So I appreciate that, David. So extra work required to get the DRS. And Schluter still on that bubble. And again, we're going through Sector 1 at a breakneck pace with another 32.5 for Patrick Hanko. Slightly bettered by Brashok in the extra hundredths. And then Schluter misses out by a 10th of a second. But Brashok out of the hairpin, though. That is really, really quick. And that's going to help him make a slight gain. But every millimeter matters here. Going into spoon curve once again. Beautiful technique on the wheel there now on full accelerator. But Patrick Hanko kicks up a lot of sparks there. Used every inch of the track to help him. But it's advantage to Brashok here in this battle.
The gap is under half a second now.
Oh, this is incredible from Janos Brashok now. The Hungarian is going for it. He's on the gearbox now. He's really, really pushing on. This should be a smashing final sector. He will be dragged across the circuit there. Yeah, he gains another 10th of a second. And Schluter strong as well, but Brashok not able to maximize the DRS toe. Hanko won't be able to weave around the place each time because Janos will predict that and you'll think of something different. But that was brilliant. And now we've got a race on our hands with Schluter, who knows this dirty air will affect the optimal driver on certainly these curves, these high-speed curves. It will affect his downforce just that little bit. So it's going to be so difficult there. We could see a kick up of dust there, as at the other end of the scales, we've got two lapped cars, Christian Pasqua and Lucas Viscott. They're going to fight for 11th place. 5th point versus 4 points at stake there. Just personal pride there for Pasqua in terms of his own tally. For Viscott, he wants to help out his team, MV Conquest, who have lost Latinen to a crash. So MV Conquest are cheering him on just to get any points that he can. So keep working and see what happens.
Callis has not given up yet on this fight with Zoltan Sux either. He is he's probably 0.7. Yeah, I think he's about 0.7 now, so he's going to have DRS again. But can he make it work? Because Zoltan Sux has been so good at making his car very wide, and Callis is so close. He's attacked him under brakes into Casio Triangle. Sander Callis is through under brakes into Casio Triangle. What an incredible maneuver.
Oh, that's how you figure it out. Well done, Sander. The job is certainly not complete yet, but he picks his spot at the Casio Triangle on the outside. But the return serve from Sux, it's blocked. It's returned to him. So Sander Callas, after probably 10 or 12 laps of trying, he's finally broken the resistance of Sux and has finally returned to his typical habitat of 4th position. But the podium will be out of reach on ordinary circumstances. He needs a mistake out of Hanko, Brashok or Schluter to get himself on the podium for just the second time in 2025. But that is definitely a personal goal achieved there by Sander, getting himself 3 extra points, as of course Patrick Hanko is on course to leapfrog him in the championship. Lap 46 is just about to finish up. We've about 20 more seconds to go. And Brashok will cross the Sector 2 split line at the crossover in this beautiful track here at Suzuka. And it's nothing to separate them in Sector 2. That's extraordinary. But it's Schluter who's gotten the peak of his tyres working now. And we'll cross the line to see lap 47. And once again, Hanko has to go all the way to the pit wall to defend his lead. But Schluter was fastest of all that last lap.
Well, hats off to both Callis and Sux, because that was a hell of a fight for 4th place. As you said, it must have been 10 or 12 laps where they were just absolutely hammer and tongs there, fighting it out. And just the moment where Sander was able to take advantage and attack under brakes, which is one of the things with DRS these days. We expect all the passes to happen using DRS, but that was a magnificent old school braking maneuver. So hats off to Sander Callis for giving us such a great fight. Now Brashok is really getting onto Hanko's gearbox now, exiting the hairpin. They are looking closer than ever, 0.4 of a second as they approach Spoon, and it is game on at the front.
Oh, you bet. Yeah, I've seen 1v1 battles for the glory here in FSR, but not necessarily a 3-way fight. And that's what we were lacking at the Belgian Grand Prix after the drama, as big names fell off, like Machete. He was looking so good for a while, but yeah, he was desperately unlucky there. And of course, in the United States, it was a dominant run by Schluter to make absolutely sure. But Jeffrey Fournier's mistake definitely cost the neutral a battle for the win. And of course, Zolt Sux was heartbroken there as well, out of that race. But he's doing his best.
Sorry to interrupt, but Schluter has DRS on Brashok now. Brashok has DRS on Hanko. Schluter has DRS. 5 laps to go. Schluter was 2.8 seconds behind the leader. He's now 1.2 seconds behind the leader, and there's someone else in between them. So these 3 cars covered by a little over a second. 5 laps to go. Really, really close racing. Who is going to crack under the pressure?
Well, Patrick, he's been using his might in the mind to get the result here. As of course he was following his teammate in the first stint, and then the pit stops actually worked out Patrick's favour. He pitted earlier than his teammate in the first stint when the mediums were in effect, and then in the second stint everyone pitted at the exact same time, so it meant a little bit extra for Patrick Hanko with the track position, and it was Schluter who was stuck behind Zalogiannis for track position that cost him about 2 seconds, but now he's right back in position to have a go here. But Brashok, the sole optimal in this contest, he's got the most difficult job of all, because Schluter could say, I'm going to have a go here, and Janos will have to react to it, which would help Hanko. Whereas Hanko, continuing this technique of using the sweep into the pit lane side of the track, it makes it so difficult for the man in the middle without a teammate to help him. So Brashok, dreaming of that first victory. He's been denied 3 times in all this season as a runner-up, but he doesn't want it to be a fourth. He wants this victory, David, and he's got to think of something very, very incredible to do it.
Yeah, indeed. I think you're right. The fact that Schluter is attacking him for position effectively does make it very hard for him to think purely in an attacking sense, because you've got one eye on your mirror and one eye out the front. So if he's got to stay safe from Schluter's attack, it's going to impact what he can do to attack Patrick Hanko.
That's right, yeah. He's not able to come up with an alternative plan because the corner exit out of the Casio Triangle, it does mean that following another driver is difficult until the DRS is enabled underneath our start-finish lights. At the moment, yeah, the Sector 2 coming up, and it's Schluter, another 1/10 of a second quicker. But Brashok has to brake as late as he dares and hope for a mistake from Hanko. And he's still in that range. It's even Stevens as we cross the line to begin lap 50. 4 laps remaining. And there it is yet again, the same dilemma for Brashok to try and win the race. He cannot follow the line effectively there, with Hanko going very, very aggressive with his attempt to break the toe. So through the sweepers they go once again, and it's just extraordinary to see these 3 guys giving it absolutely everything in the hopes of winning the race. And a very calm evening here at Suzuka.
Yeah, Schluter got a little bit of throttle oversteer second part of the Casio Triangle, which gave Brashok, I don't know, a couple of tenths of breathing space. It meant that Schluter couldn't really launch an effective attack on him. But also, I guess Brashok, by virtue of the fact he's got DRS, it's going to make him less vulnerable to an attack from Schluter.
Yeah, you can see track temperature is 17.8 degrees on your top right highlighter there on the top right of your screen, just underneath Grid Finder and the other sponsors of our series. So it's not a case where these tires are getting heated up or they're going to be frozen either. It's just that sweet spot. And there's a brilliant move from 130R performed there by Mark Schluter. He's going to be so close now. He has to stay just a little bit back and then go for it on exit. 3 cars within 3/4 of a second. It's absolutely phenomenal stuff. Lap 51, 3 to go. It's a sprint race now, a traditional sprint race to try and decide a winner here. No fault so far from Patrick Hanko, who wants to become a winner and the second place driver in our World Championship. Sander Kallas is out of reach after that battle with Zeuw that took up a quarter of his entire Grand Prix. But now Schluter, out of the S's into Dunlop, has lost that little bit of time again with the dirty air. So we were almost ready for a grandstand finish, but now Mark Schluter has lost the most time, following Janos so closely.
Yeah, Schluter's having just a little bit of trouble getting the power down, exiting the Casio Triangle. He's having to short shift or lift a little bit and counter steer ever so slightly. And so Brashok is getting a slightly better exit, and that is keeping him out of Schluter's clutches for the moment. But Schluter certainly seems to be able to really bear down on them on the long run up the back straight through 130R. Perhaps Schluter has slightly less wing. There's only 10 levels of rear wing in FSR, 0 through to 10. I suppose it's 1 through to 10. It's 10 rear wing settings. But Schluter's either amazing under brakes or has a little bit less wing.
Well, we'll see. That's a great exit by Hanko to start our penultimate lap. And he's gaining more time here. It makes Janos's task even harder. The Brashok versus Schluter looks to be the more feasible act to change a spot on our podium. So through once again in the incredible S-curves they go. We've seen triumph and disaster around there today in our Japanese showcase event for the World Championship drivers. But in this case, the three protagonists for the podium, they've just been very, very equally matched, and it's so tricky to make any overtakes there. The hairpin likewise coming up now, David. They're just too far apart to sample any dive bombs there. But Brashok will follow his lap times as well to see if there's a way back. He's dumping everything he's got out of that engine to try and catch up to Hanko at a spot where it might be impossible to deny him the win after all. So he's got to overtake now and then defend with everything he's got.
Yeah, Brashok was very, very quick through that sequence from the hairpin into Spoon, and I think he's actually pulled a slight gap on Schluter compared to where they were over the previous couple of laps. So Brashok is only 0.4 of a second behind Hanko now. Is Brashok going to be able to make it happen?
Here we shall find out. The final lap begins. Hanko defending as he's been doing every single lap. It's been something that Brashok cannot compete with. So something needs to change in his approach to make this a battle for the win. After all, he's so close. Lap time 1:30.0, so he gained 0.3. The first and second sectors were a particular highlight there for Brashok, but he's still tantalizingly out of reach, which means that Schluter will have to try something different of his own. Degner 1 into Degner 2. Taken very accurately by all three drivers. No mistakes. Now he's thinking to dive a little bit later there, Brashok, and that might affect his corner exit. You can just see the fighting he has to do to keep the car pointing in the right direction. And it looks like Hanko is 5 corners away from glory here for the very first time in FSR. And it will be rejoicing for his fellow countryman there. Let's see if he can do it. Just a little longer to go. And 130R. It's complete. And he's fading. He's fading.
Attacking. Schluter's on the attack.
Oh, this will be
I don't believe it.
Oh, it's an extra insult to injury.
Final
Mark
complex.
Through. Mark Schluter takes Janos's position, but Patrick Hanko, congratulations. A phenomenal victory there. And that was a crushing way, but Slovakia will be jumping for joy as Patrick Hanko is our newest winner in the FSR World Championship. And Mark Schluter, oh my goodness, he's got the bragging rights over Brashok yet again. Zeuw sucks across the line in 4th. And Cosmo Pasquito completes our top 5. Sander Callas.
What happened to
Had a
Callas?
meltdown. Is he out of fuel or something? Callas out of fuel. So, oh goodness, he's lost the position.
Oh, having fought so hard to get into 4th, he's come home 6th. Do you think it is fuel?
Well, he was so slow. Did you make a mistake or something? Like, oh yeah, he's out of Dunlop slow already. And by the time he picks it up again, yeah, he has to turn a full 360 degrees. But to be that slow on corner exit, yeah, maybe just lift it off. Out of sheer despair. But yeah, the horrible end to the race for Sander Callas. That will be a huge deficit now to Patrick Hanko, who will gain 15 points. Yeah, so 15-point swing puts Patrick Hanko second in the championship. And Sander Callas still comfortable enough advantage over Tom Odenmenger. But Janos Brashok loses even more points there. 3 points conceded to Mark Schluter there. But what an ending that was, David. An absolute Barnstormer.
Incredible, just incredible that Schluter managed to get onto the group, get onto the pair of them, and managed to pull off a pretty similar overtake to the one that Callis pulled off on Zeuw. Final lap, final complex, got him under brakes. Incredible. Callis, by the way, as you said, Dunlop curve, just the rear let go, and that's why we wax lyrical about how good these guys are to be going so quick for so long and daring to pin it through Dunlop when tyres can let go, and you've just got to judge it perfectly. And unfortunately for Sander, the rears let go going through Dunlop, so which cost him 2 places. So incredible drive by all, but by all the top 3 really. You've got to hand it to Henko. Congratulations, Patrick, on achieving a World Championship victory. Brackshock really took it to him, and Mark Schluter cruelly denying Brackshock the opportunity to defeat him.
Right, sure, yeah. So it was true for Mark that he had to try something different to overtake Janos, who had that pressure from having to deal with 2 different teammates, and it did come to pass. Poor old Janos Brackshock, heartbreaking, lose out very, very close to the end in a phenomenal effort against both Patrick Henko and then Mark Schluter there. So well done to all our drivers who did make it to the start finish, and commiserations to those who did not make it to the finish line, as the attrition rate definitely built up before the 50% mark. But let's recap it one last time for all of our viewers on the YouTube stream. Patrick Henko, for Slovakia, gets the win. Brilliant driving there. Pit strategy was spot on. Mark Schluter, the world champion, he'll get his official award next time out in Mexico, but today he can celebrate his teammate for all his efforts. Janos Brackshock, so devastating there. Finished P3 after such a quality drive for him. Zeuw, who was a thorn in the side of Callas, ended up peaking at just the right time to get 4th place. Cosmo Pasquito, his very best result in FSR World Championship, as Ed Hunter confirms there at the top 5 for Cosmo. And then Sander Callas made that error at the Dunlop curve, which cost him 2 positions when he worked so hard to be an outside bet for the podium. George Zalogianis, a very effective race for him. He gets P7. Tom Aldenmenger, P8. His battle with Zalogianis and Callas were very good to watch. Matthew Toussaint, I said he had to just keep his head down and he'd be okay, and that proved to be correct with a 9th place. And then Amine Suisi for the Cell Spot Racing team on debut gets a top 10. That's no mean feat.
We've got the race winner, Patrick Henko, and Mark Schluter also in the waiting room. I'll bring Patrick in for a word.
Yeah, let's have a chat with Patrick.
Patrick Henko, a World Championship race winner. How does that feel?
Hello guys. Feels almost like winning the Pro Championship last year, honestly, against drivers like Janos or Mark. So yeah, this feels crazy.
Congratulations. You withstood so much pressure for so long. It was just incredible to watch. So it was very, very impressive driving.
Yeah, thank you. It was really difficult to not make a mistake in front of Janos. He was obviously quicker, but luckily it's almost impossible to overtake here. So I was just focusing on having good exits, and yeah, it worked well. I was just trying to save push to pass for the last laps, and also helped me.
Yeah, well, it certainly did work. Did you have any questions, Eoin, you'd like to ask Patrick?
Yeah, certainly. Patrick, first of all, congratulations. Splendid drive. I know in the first stint your task was just to follow Mark, but then on the pit strategy, it worked out very well for you. So what was your opinion on your strategy? Do you think pitting earlier was actually more effective to help you along your way?
Yeah, I just wanted to pit as soon as possible because undercut here is very powerful. So I was happy that I managed to pit before Janos. We were not sure if we have the same pit box with Mark, so We were discussing who should pit first, and Mark wanted to stay a little bit longer, but I think he didn't expect Janos to pit with me. I think he thought Janos would pit the next lap.
Yeah, fair play. Thanks very much for answering my question there, Patrick. Thank you.
Yeah, well, just well done. I mean, a lot of our viewers know how hard it is to win a World Championship race. So, and this is your first victory. So, yeah, amazing moment for you. So, Patrick, we're very proud of you, and we want to say a very warm-hearted congratulations to you on such a fine victory, especially with so much pressure from behind for so long. I mean, Janos Brakshock, he was pushing you hard for so many laps. It was incredible that you maintained your composure and didn't crack. So impressive bit of work. We might
Thank
bring.
you, David.
My pleasure. We might bring Mark Schluter in for a chat as well. Feel free to stay if you want to, Patrick. We'll bring Mark in now. Mark Schluter, congratulations on second place in Suzuka. And I have to ask you, that overtake you did on the final lap into the braking zone for the Casio Triangle, did you think it was going to work?
Yeah, I mean, not really, but I was just thinking, yeah, let's go for it. I have nothing to lose. If I finish P3 or if I finish P2, so was just sending it.
Yeah, and send it. You did indeed. It was just unbelievable. I mean, the final 10 laps of that race, when you were closing in on both those other guys and putting so much pressure on Janos, were you finding a little bit of problems with traction exiting the Casio Triangle onto the pit straight? It looked a couple of times like you were spinning up the rears a little bit.
Yeah, what was a bit weird. The tires were still in good shape at the rear, but yeah, the tires was just wheel spinning for some unknown reason. But yeah, it was fine, I guess.
Well, it was brilliant racing to watch, and the excitement at the end. We just didn't expect that move when it happened. It was incredible. So, congratulations on second place. Brilliant bit of driving. Sorry, Owen, I'll hand over to you, mate. Sorry, I was too excited. I had to ask.
It's okay. Oh, no problem, David. Yeah, my question for you, Mark, is the threat from Sandor Kallas in the first portion of the race. It looked very, very daunting for a while, but did you feel the same way, or did you think you'd have a problem behind you with a four-way battle as opposed to what we got with a three-way?
Yeah, I don't know. I think starting on hards today for him, it was the wrong decisions because even though the hard was a better race tire today, I think it was just too slow at the start of the race. But yeah, I wasn't really concerned about Carlos at all today. But yeah, I mean, maybe he could have fought with us, but I think he had an incident or something.
Yeah, he definitely got held up by Zolt as well. A very intense battle for position there, but then he made a mistake in the end, so cost him his position. So, but what an interesting, we got treated to an absolute spectacle. But have a four-way fight is definitely something that doesn't happen at all often. So that would have been fascinating. But we were delighted to see the three of you, Patrick, Mark, and then also the battle from Janos as well. Absolutely brilliant stuff. So thanks very much.
Yeah, have a good evening.
Mark, I have one more question for you, and maybe for Patrick. Have you guys driven Mexico much in rFactor 2?
I did 2 races there, I think, in my life, in 2019 and 2023. So just 2 races.
Yeah, I think I did 2021. I did a race there, and I think in last year as well, or not now, this year as well. So I think only like 2 to 3 times as well.
Okay, well, it should be a good adventure for us. So, Owen, I'll hand back to you, mate, if you want to add any more or wrap things up.
I think we've seen everything everything that was critical in the race. We definitely had an absolute thriller for the win, but for the positions 4 through 6, pretty fascinating there as well. Tom Odenmenger and Matthew Toussaint also fought hard, but George Zaluzyanis as well, credit to him for a very composed drive, picking up extra 9 points for his campaign. So the team's championship, by all means, it looks like CMT Go team with that pass for position at the end. That could be the extra icing on the cake for CMT Go team to be confirmed as the team's champions, but it's not sealed and delivered just yet. So the motivation to carry on for one last round should be in the back of our interviewees' minds. So yeah, keep working one last time, lads, and then you can celebrate a phenomenal campaign. Otherwise, that is all the time we have for you today at Suzuka. So David, thanks so much once again for your guiding light. Really helps the entire broadcast. And of course, the fact that you have to admin as well at the same time, it's no mean feat.
Yep, my pleasure being here. It was a thrilling race to watch and some fantastic driving from everybody, but particularly the top 3 guys. Such a tight fight at such a high standard. It was a real pleasure to witness it. So, thank you.
No problem. And then Remco Zeuw, the broadcast director, helping in with our efforts this time around. So Remco, we work together a lot elsewhere, but I really appreciate you jumping in for FSR World Championship action as well. So thank you very much. And that shall be the end of our broadcast today. Round 9 of 10 is in the books, and that just leaves us with a chance to witness the team's championship come to a conclusion. But the drivers around Mexico City should be allowed to put on a real spectacle in, I think, 3 weeks' time. It's a little extra long of a wait, but no doubt about it, everyone should be raring to go for that final push before we conclude the season. So for myself, Eoin, and then we have David and Remco as well. Thank you for tuning in, and chat again soon. Good night.